Hello, kidney warriors. James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach, and this is another episode of Dadvice TV Live. As a matter of fact, episode number 261. Now, it is getting that time of year. Leaves are getting ready to start changing colors. Weather is starting to cool down in some parts of the world, the United States. I know other parts getting pretty hot right now. But we are knocking on the door of all the upcoming holidays. And for those of us with kidney disease, it can be a little bit more challenging to make some smart decisions on which of those delicious treats and goodies we see that we want to make part of our diet over the next few months. And to talk about that, we have with us Renal Dietitian from plantpoweredkidneys.com. If you guys do not yet belong to the Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook group, that is something you must belong to as a kidney patient. Please welcome from plantpoweredkidneys.com, Jen Hernandez. Hey, Jen.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. Great to be back. It's been forever. We had a nice little summer break, but I know you and I are both excited to get chatting again.
Yes.
All right, so just really quick, you had mentioned to everybody Plant Powered Kidneys. My name is Jen Hernandez, and I'm a renal dietitian, and I'm the founder of Plant Powered Kidneys. After working years in dialysis, I wanted to help people prevent kidney failure and protect their kidney health, and that's what we do at Plant Powered Kidneys. So you can learn a ton of information about us and all the things we do, all of the free content we have at plantpoweredkidneys.com. And then you can also check out that Facebook group that James mentioned. Look up Plant Powered Kidneys on Facebook and join our private Facebook group, but it is entirely free. And it's a very, very supportive community that is all about adding more plants into a kidney-friendly diet.
Now, all of that is 100% free for everyone to join, get access to all those resources, but you also have something that they can participate in if they're looking to go even further than all those online free resources. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, it's one thing to learn about a lot of these things, but it's another thing to kind of organize and then also practice and implement what we talk about and the changes. And that is what we really love to do with the Plant Powered Kidneys course, which just today we are opening the wait list for our final course of the year of 2022. We will have this program go one more time this year before the holidays hit. But if you, just like James mentioned, if you want to kind of get things looked at and really focus before and into the holidays, this is the time to consider joining Plant Powered Kidneys. It's a 6-week course that you will be able to take and learn a ton of information, and you would not believe the results. We're going to be sharing a lot of those results in the upcoming weeks before we open the doors officially. But the results that we get are just, it always renders me speechless. I'm a long talker. I can go on for a while, but it always renders me speechless and just brings me to tears how incredible our students are and the results they see. So if you are interested in learning more about this, you can get on our wait list, and I will make sure I put that in the comments for you, and I'm sure we'll have a link available later as well. But it is our famous course. I mean, it's internationally known at this point. So definitely something to consider if you're looking for that next level step of support, help, guidance, and really taking the information to the next step.
Yeah, and you really prepare people by giving them the tools they need to feel better when they're making choices and to make good choices that are going to help them take control of their kidney disease. I like to say, kick kidney disease to the curb. Now, let's go ahead and get into tonight's topic. And for everyone who is here tonight, we're going to try to move a little bit faster than we normally do. We're going to see if we can compress all the information down into about half an hour. I hope we can do it because I told Jen right before this, I had my daughter do a bunch of chores and I gave her some money and she badly wants to spend it before she goes to bed. So I got to take her shopping tonight when we're done.
Hey, who can blame her for that?
Exactly. And tonight's topic is about making smart choices or better choices and switches and things like that in your diet as we are approaching this holiday season?
Hmm. Yeah. And I think it's really important because, well, for one, I'll tell you really quick, when I was a dietitian in the dialysis centers, it was it was hard during the holidays because we had so many new starts. It was a very, very high frequency where I would have new patient after new patient coming into dialysis from letting things kind of get carried away too much, not paying attention, not being able to take care of themselves. And, it can get harder at the end of the year. So I really want us to maintain this kind of mentality of taking care of ourselves throughout the rest of the year. It is not a time to say, oh, I'm just going to let it all go and I'm going to do whatever in the holidays. In January I'll get back into it, because that can set us up for a lot of problems, especially if you have high blood pressure issues, if you have diabetes or blood sugar issues, both of which are the most common causes of kidney problems. So it's really, really important to still stay focused during the holiday time and as we get into the fall. And one of the things that we want to focus on is making sure that we're getting plenty of fruits and vegetables. And this can be really hard as the seasons are changing and you might not get as many fresh produce available to you, because we do a lot of farmers markets and there's just, the weather is really great. So we do have a lot of fresh produce, and that might change as the weather gets colder. You might not have as much. So I want to talk a little bit about ways that we can still have fruits and vegetables in the diet, even though the weather's changing.
Hmm. And with the fall, aren't there new vegetables that start appearing? At least, we got like pumpkin and
Mhm.
at least that's the only one that comes to mind, pumpkin pie and all that stuff. But the
I mean,
pumpkin
apples are
itself.
there are a lot that are more available year round, but some do come out towards like the fall time. And yeah, pumpkin. So there's summer squash and there's winter squash. And winter squash are a variety of types of squashes, including pumpkin. And pumpkin, by the way, we have a whole article on plantpoweredkidneys.com about pumpkin in the diet. So you can look into all the details and even recipes about including pumpkin there. But pumpkin is a type of winter squash. There's also spaghetti squash, which is really great, very easy to fit into a renal diet. The winter squashes in general are on the higher potassium side. So if you need to be careful with potassium, that is something to be mindful of, but not everybody needs to follow a low potassium diet. So also keep that in mind before we start saying, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I have kidney disease, I can't have this and this. Take a step back and think about, where that information is coming from, first of all, and if it's potentially outdated, because there is a lot of older information that's still circulating that hasn't yet been eradicated or entirely clarified. So make sure you talk with your healthcare provider, talk with your dietitian about potassium, and if you truly need to cut down a little bit, or if you should be enjoying more potassium.
Yeah, and potassium's good for your heart, and that's one of the things I see so many people um, mistakenly restrict themselves from having and enjoying because they
Mm-hmm.
went online and they saw it on a website or a Facebook group to avoid potassium. And those restrictions should always come from your own healthcare provider, your own doctor, your own dietitian.
Yeah, exactly. So there are other types of fruits and vegetables that do stick around. I mean, apples are they're year round basically, but there's some really good apples in the fall season, and doing something like apple picking can be a lot of fun, a great family activity. It gets you outside. You get to enjoy and kind of show your family, your kids, your grandkids about where food comes from. So there can be some really enjoyable ways to learn more about the fruits and vegetables that are coming out a little bit more and might be fresher in different areas in certain circumstances. But even besides the fresh fruits and vegetables that come out during the fall, I always love to remind people to not forget about canned and frozen. And over the years, long time ago, I mean, I remember as a nutrition student, I remember it's like, well, be careful with canned, and it's not going to be so good. But no, that is old information. Canned vegetables, canned fruit can still be a great part of the diet. And especially if you don't have access to more fresh fruits and vegetables, canned is a really, really great option to have, especially if, I mean, I'm thinking about like we just got through our tornado season. Is it
Mhm.
over? I think it's over. Yeah.
I think it is. I hope it is.
I don't really know. I hope I'm gonna jinx it. Watch, but canned fruits, canned vegetables are great to have on hand in the pantry. They're shelf stable. They last a long time. All you need to do is drain and rinse them, and they'll be good to use in a lot of types of dishes for baking or for a side dish, however you like it. So, canned fruits and vegetables, please do not forget about those.
Yeah, and that sodium content seems really scary when you look at it. But what I learned was that's so much that is in that liquid that you said drain it, rinse it, drain it again, and you've whooshed away so much of that excessive sodium that they add there to help keep it fresh in the can.
Yeah, exactly. Companies know that they need to provide a product that is not going to scare people when what is it? It's over 37 million in the US. It's could be higher at this point, but there's a lot of people with kidney issues. There's a lot of people with blood pressure issues, a lot of people with blood sugar issues, and companies are aware they need to make sure they make food healthy. They need to make it a good option for people that they feel good about eating so that they'll buy it and buy it again.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of low sodium, there's plenty of no salt added. There's a lot of options out there for canned produce, but yes, check the labels and just make sure that you're going to choose one that's best for you and that is lower in the salt.
Very good.
So, another thing, and it kind of ties back with the fresh, but also you can use frozen, is to switch from salads, which, if you want to do salad still, that's totally great. And there's still a lot of great options. In fact, as I'm thinking about this, I have a few ideas already for that. But another great way to include more vegetables in the diet is to roast them. And I know we talk
Mhm.
about this year round, but I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, have taken a bit of a break from using their oven too much because it gets so hot already.
Mhm.
But now, as it's going to get cooler out, it can be a great time to roast a big sheet pan of chopped veggies and to have those as a side dish for several meals. You can really they keep well in the fridge. You can use them later on. And then, as I mentioned, the salad idea is like, oh yeah, you can do a roasted veggie salad. Use those leftovers on top of a bed of greens or even a bed of grains if you need more carbohydrates, fiber, those kind of nutrients to have a very, very nutrient dense and filling. That's the biggest thing. That's the key. A
Mhm.
filling meal.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to roast, and you taught me this, is radishes. I cannot believe it. I love radishes. I'll eat them like little apples, but when I cut the edges off and roast them, oh my goodness, I don't know what happens, but the flavor just changes the texture. It reminds me of mashed potatoes, like
Yeah.
little red skin potatoes. A great alternative to potatoes.
It really is. They are so good. And for those of you that think, oh, radishes are really spicy, I can't take that flavor, it completely mellows out when you roast them. It just very, very tolerable, very mild flavor. And it does make a really good mashed potato or roasted potato substitute because it's much lower in potassium. I can't even tell you right off the top of my head how much it is, but I know it's lower. So it's a great option for a low potassium.
And I cook them just like I would roast potatoes. I put a little bit of olive oil on there, some seasoning. Boom, it's amazing. And I can
Mhm.
do it in my air fryer, which is even better.
Yeah, exactly. Those are so, so good. And then another, well, you mentioned potatoes. I mean, the fall time, that is another, it seems to me at least, another popular time for potatoes because we get into all the potato side dishes, leading up into the holidays. We do mashed potatoes and everything. But don't forget, even though potatoes are high in potassium, you can double boil potatoes or other root vegetables to help reduce the potassium by about 50%. So you dice it up, you wash them, you peel them, you dice them up into small cubes about 1 inch. You put it into a fresh pot of clean water, bring that to a boil about 10 to 15 minutes. Turn off the heat, drain, rinse them, fresh water, 10 to 15-minute boil again with those potatoes, and you will get cooked potatoes that will be reduced by about 50% potassium. So it is a very, very great way to batch a bunch of potatoes ahead of time. You could even freeze them if you wanted. So if you know you're going to cook a bunch of potatoes and you're like, well, Thanksgiving is not that far away and I'm going to be using potatoes, you can do that, prep them ahead of time so that you can make them later on.
Yep. Awesome.
So, another thing when we talk about transitioning to holidays are beverages. So, different types of drinks. We're getting into well, not quite yet there, but we will be getting into the hot cocoa, the hot ciders. We'll be getting into some of those holiday cocktails, a lot of delicious things to drink. But there are quite a few factors, and we've covered a lot of these in our years, James, of us
Yeah.
chatting about this.
It's probably been like 3 years of doing these videos.
It's incredible. It's fantastic. But with fluids, there are, again, potassium is something to think about. But we also want to keep in mind phosphorus, because some foods will have either added phosphorus or they might be naturally higher in phosphorus, like hot cocoa, for example. Many of them have phosphate additives, but chocolate is also higher in phosphorus. So keep that in mind if you want to do a mug of hot cocoa, that it's going to be a higher phosphorus food. And then we have all of our alcohols and our cocktails and our other beverages that will contribute to, well, alcohol in of itself is something to just be cautious with. Make sure you get the green light from your healthcare provider if you can have alcohol, because alcohol can impact a lot of medications. So it's not good for everybody, but some moderation is okay for some. But it will also, of course, attribute to how much fluid you're drinking during the day. And many people with kidney issues have a fluid restriction. And this is typically the end stage, like maybe stage 4, but I usually see stage 5, or especially dialysis, when you're getting the fluid taken off by the machine. You might have a fluid restriction, and everything that you drink, doesn't matter what type of drink it is, any type of liquid is part of that fluid limitation. So when there's more beverages around, when there's more cocktails and more drink options, it's really important to keep that in mind, that it's not going to be good to overindulge there, because you can experience edema, which is that swelling of your lower extremities. It can be your upper extremities. It could be around your face. You might not see it. It could be in your abdomen. It could be around your heart or your lungs. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So if you have a fluid restriction, you want to pay attention to that. But fluids can be something that can be enjoyed. Just use something like a fluid tracker, use a log, a journal, something like that, to make sure that you're seeing how much fluid you're drinking and how that compares to what you've been directed to by your healthcare provider for what to drink.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I love me some hot chocolate, and I just noticed about a week ago so much phosphorus in most of them. I'm using the app and putting them in there and comparing them. And the cheap one, the Kroger super cheap one, had by far the least amount of added phosphorus. I was like, oh, awesome. But then I got the packets and they were so small. That's part of the way they do it.
I've had this conversation with my husband about serving sizes before, because he'll look at something like, that's it. I'm like, I've seen granola bars that it says a serving size is half a bar, and I cannot imagine anyone stopping at the halfway point and saying, oh, that's enough, I'm full, let's put that away. No, but they can manipulate serving sizes so that they can hit certain numbers to say it's high in something, it's low in something, it's whatever it is. They're very, very sneaky about that.
Yep.
So I want to take a quick detour in our conversation, because Betty mentioned something that I feel I have to address. I can't get away with. And Betty, we've talked about this before, but I think it's really, really good to address this for everybody. She says, Kidney Doc said, I don't need a dietitian. He said labs are good. I saw high and low. Should I get a dietitian? Now, James, can you please put your perspective? Because I think everyone's
here's my perspective. And I've been in the worst situation, a dietitian, doctors, so many of them say you don't need a dietitian, but you can always learn how to eat better for your kidneys, for your heart, for you, for a better life, a better quality of life, a longer life. You can always learn something. I think I've learned a lot, but every single time I go and I talk to my dietitian, she gives me more new stuff, new things to try, new ideas. And I feel so good now. I'm not afraid to eat anywhere. There was a time I was like, no, we can't go out to eat. I don't know what I'm going to order. It's going to hurt me. It's going to be bad for me. I think everyone, especially kidney patients, should at least talk to a dietitian a few times. See what you can learn from them, and you will know if you need to keep working with them. To me, a dietitian, they're a teacher. They're teaching you the skills to make better choices for you, and we are all individualized. That's kind of my perspective. I disagree with what Betty's doc said. I say, yeah, you see high and low, go see a dietitian. They're the ones that help you move those into the middle, so you're right where you should be for almost everything they can help you with.
Yeah, and this is something where, like you said, the doctors, they just don't, they get 18-ish hours of nutrition information in their how many years of training to become a doctor. I mean, it is a drop in the bucket of the knowledge they have, and they have so much knowledge. They cover so many things. So I get it when they just don't know the nutrition side of things, and so they don't see all the potential there. But I'm telling you, time and time again, the only thing I've ever heard from people is a regret of not working with a dietitian sooner, of
Yep.
not seeing somebody sooner. I saw it over and over again in dialysis, wishing that they made a change. And sometimes it could be kind of contradictory when they would hear that they're being told, oh, the diet doesn't matter. You don't need to make any
Oh,
changes. It won't do anything. But then down the road, it's what have you been eating? What have you been doing? Why is this like it? All of a sudden, it's like chaos. And you're like, well, wait a minute. You said I didn't need to make any changes. You said it didn't matter. And but now all of a sudden, it's the worst thing. And it is, I tell you, it's we just always want to support our clients and our students by empowering them to understand what the potential is, because there is very much a potential for everybody. Like you said, everybody can pick up something, everybody can learn something, and however big or small that is really depends on the situation, but you always come away with a change that you can make for your future in protecting your kidney health that is literally going to pay off dividends of time for you in the future. I mean,
now,
that is
now, a few people have mentioned how hard it is to get to see a dietitian with their insurance. Here's my trick, everybody. Go to your family doctor, your primary care physician. They will find a reason, a valid reason for you to see a dietitian. Maybe you're a little overweight. They will code it so you can go see a dietitian because you need to get your weight under control. Maybe your blood sugar's a little high. They will
Mhm.
find ways to help you leverage your insurance as best as possible to see that dietitian. So don't forget, leverage your doctor. And if they say, hey, you're a little overweight, be, hey, I'm proud of that. Can you get me a dietitian to take care of it?
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah, and we at Plant Power Kidneys, we don't take insurance. We do self pay, but what we do is after our work together, we will do a lot of that coding, and we'll provide you with a receipt that's otherwise known as a super bill that you can send to your insurance, and then they can review it for reimbursement, and they can, it's up to them on how much they reimburse, but we can take as many of the codes, even getting a referral from the doctor, we can use those codes to include that information on there. So we have a lot of clients that will get that reimbursement through the insurance, and they'll, and I, even one of my clients that I've been working with for, about just over 3 months now, she's in that process of applying for the reimbursement. She's like, I have gotten so much out of this. She says, I don't care. I am in this to, like, she's seen her results, and I'm thrilled. I'll be able to share her results in a little soon here, I think in the next couple of weeks. Just absolutely wonderful results. And again, the only regret that I don't want you guys to have is to say, oh, I should have done something sooner. You That is the hardest thing to live with, especially if you get to that point where the doctor says you need dialysis. You have to go straight to the emergency room. There's no fighting it. It's, you got to go do this. So that's what we work to prevent. We work to give you the opportunity to make changes, to give yourself more time, and we have seen it time and time again. So yeah, if your doctor says you don't need a dietitian, then ask. I'm not going to tell you to fire
I
your
think that's
doctor.
the wrong doctor.
I'm just going to say, check out, get a second opinion, or even if you're in the process of looking for a doctor, ask them what their philosophy is about nutrition. Ask them if they know of a dietitian they could refer you to. I mean, it can tell a lot if you just kind of see how they perceive food and how they're going to have that conversation with you too. So don't let that conversation just be a shut door.
Yep. Awesome. Now we only have a few minutes left. Anything else you want to mention in our talk tonight?
Well, I guess the last thing I wanted to say, and I kind of mentioned it again with the salad options, but don't forget about healthy whole grains. Now is also a great time to use. You can still do those like 90-second bags for rice or pasta or something, but cooking grains, and you can use grains for every single meal. You can do grains like oatmeal, you could do teff, you could do farro for breakfast, you could do quinoa. You can use the same grains, cook a big batch of it. Use a little bit of the same grains at lunch with a salad or to make a bowl. You can use the same for dinner to toss it into a casserole. Grains are very, very versatile and very nutrient dense. They're so good. They provide a lot of fiber for us, plant protein, all these kinds of B vitamins and nutrients. Absolutely fantastic. So make sure you're thinking about other ways to add more of those really healthy and nutrient dense foods there so that you are taking advantage of the nutrition that is there from very affordable options.
Awesome. All right. Hey, there we got it all wrapped up, and we did it in a record amount of time. And it didn't even feel rushed. We had such great comments in there, and we got to answer some questions along the way, which is fantastic. Now, you'll be back next month because I'm still moving, everybody. I'm still getting all settled in. Driving back and forth between Cincinnati, Ohio, and north of Detroit and Michigan on the weekends. I just got back last night. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I just got back yesterday. My 4-day weekend was busy going through stuff. But you'll be back next month, and I've got Dr. Rowe coming up. The schedule will be posted on dadvicetv.com under the menu option schedule. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the little notification icon, turn on notifications, and YouTube will let you know whenever I schedule an upcoming broadcast. All right. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you so much, Jen. And remember, plantpoweredkidneys.com, everyone. There's a link down in the description. Jen's website, the Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook group. Excellent place. Lots of ideas, lots of support, and most importantly, everyone there is positive. Jen does a great job at getting rid of all those scammers, pushing the fake things and stuff like that. And anyone who's not being nice and polite, she has words with them to make sure that they know.
I think everybody in the community is pretty good about that. Like everyone's very like, hey, we don't do that in here, and let's all be nice. And so everyone looks out for everybody in the community, which is fantastic.
That is awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Jen. And thank you everyone out there. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.